If you have a family member with disabilities or special needs, then they may well qualify for the disability, and you may qualify for the caregiver credit. Now, the disability tax credit does not necessarily apply just because the child happens to receive provincial disability benefits. It's quite possible that the restrictions that allow for the provincial benefits are not sufficient, in the sense that the child is not, quote, markedly restricted. They may well be restricted or have disabilities, but not be markedly restricted. But I find that at least half of my client families who have kids with special needs, that the child does qualify, and that of the new families that I meet, I would say about 20% aren't using the credit and should be using it. So of course what we do is we alert them to this fact and then assist them with the forms and the doctor's involvement and the T1 adjustment involvement to backfile the credit once it's applied. Now, this credit can be backfiled for up to 10 years. So what this means is that if we backfile 10 years, which is the most common family profile, that the credit is not being used and we can backfile it for the maximum period, the recapture for taxes is about $16,000, which is substantial. And all it is a credit that should have been used and wasn't used. For the caregiver credit, if you have a child, a family member who is over 18, let's say 28, and is living with you, and they're receiving provincial benefits, then the caregiver credit applies to you. It's not transferred from the child the way the disability credit is. And when we backfile that for 10 years, the recapture is approximately $8,000. And it wouldn't be uncommon at all to find that we're doing both of these credits at the same time. One other common factor is that the family was using the credit, the disability credit, but then when the child went into supported living, they stopped because they thought that the child had to live with them for them to use the credit. Now, of course, the caregiver credit would not be applicable in that case. But if you are helping with the necessities, such as some degree of food, shelter, or clothing, and it's typically clothing, then that credit is still transferable from the child and usable by the parent as long as that continues, which of course it always does.